What's going on, my fellow Farmall brothers and sisters? Alright, so today I'm going to go ahead and talk about the dingleberry hone versus the straight wall cylinder hone, and kind of go back and forth a little bit on the reason why there's controversies about it, and hopefully clarify some things on this one. So stay tuned. What's going on, my friends? Alright, so now we're out here going to get working. Today I figured fire up the old corn cob. It's a nice, breezy, cool day, not too cold. A little bit of cherry vanilla. Some good stuff. Alright, so today I do want to actually say to everybody who donated, over the Thanksgiving holiday, helping out as far as, making the channel grow, donating as far as parts and helping with the building. Thank you. As I said, truly from my heart, thank you for all the help. Y'all a bunch of guys out there. Like I said, tractor family. We're obviously there's always your idiots somewhere in the mix of all of us, but for the most part, we're a whole different breed of crowd as far as what we do, how we talk, and everything else. So like I said, a lot of gentlemen I talk with, some of the things I sold and stuff, some things I made for some people, we always say, when we say something, our word is the handshake. So if we don't have our word anymore, what do we have? Nowadays, that word should mean everything. So anyway, just wanted to say that, and also wanted to say I appreciate one of my subscribers actually having a concern about my safety, and I thank you for that. And it was actually nice to you to at least bring it to my attention, because you know what? Some people aren't smart enough to really think about it, or not even just smart enough, just really ain't thinking about it. But you were asking about carbon monoxide. There's the sensor that I have out here, just in case for that propane heater. So, but you know what? Thank you for the worry. And you know what? That's what's going to keep all of us looking out for each other. That little simple thing, say it to somebody. Maybe they don't have one. So it's a good idea. So thank you for that. And also, I'm going to flip the camera around. I think I have figured out where that thrush washer actually did come from. I might have mentioned it in the last video, but I'm going to mention it again. So I'm going to flip this camera around. We're going to walk over and see. Okay, so here was the thrush washer that was in question. That was found down there. Now what I'm thinking is this starter was broken, as you see right there. So I'm thinking what happened was the head of the starter somehow got broke. I'm thinking the starter actually came apart inside that bell housing, and obviously that thrush washer, I'm pretty sure, goes right there. I think that's where it went. So as far as as loud as the starter was, the noises it was making, the drag that was on this engine trying to start it, obviously a lot of it was those teeth. I think that sticking point was a combination of the bearing a little bit, but I think it was hanging up on some of those jacked up teeth on there. I didn't realize it was as bad as it was until I got it apart. But that right there only makes sense where that thrush washer came from. I mean, it fits the shaft pretty much perfectly. See if I can focus in. See, it fits the shaft size perfectly. So it looks like, yeah, the guy busted the starter, and what he did was he just went ahead and had that fixed. He lost that part in the bell housing and left it. And so I was thinking about this flywheel and some of these teeth that were actually bad on it. I was going to go ahead and flip this. I don't think I can flip this one on here, because I'm pretty sure this one, I think, has the flat machined edge on one side, and it's got the beveled on the other side for the starter. So I'm going to assume that I'm going to go ahead and have to just replace it, which is no big deal. It's $50 for a new ring gear. So I'm going to go ahead and replace it. I was thinking about it, but I think my thinking process on this, I think I decided against it. Obviously, I'm replacing the clutch and the throwout bearing and the pilot bearing. I was kicking around the idea of possibly reusing the pressure plate at first, but then I started looking at it a little bit closer and started realizing that it actually does have some wear on the fingers. So I'm not really sure if the springs are up to par. I mean, it sucks that the pressure plates are, you know, $199. Obviously, the whole kit is almost $400 for this particular tractor. So $200 for a pressure plate, you know, it's a little bit of kick in the ass. But I don't want to do it again anytime soon. So unfortunately, we're going to be spending the $199 and probably replacing it. I don't know. If you guys have any luck out there ever reusing an old pressure plate, you know, always appreciate the comments. But I have a feeling on this, we're just going all new. I'm not going to deal with it. I don't want any issues. And then let me see. I think that's everything. So other than that, let me stop my yapping. Let's go ahead and get to the whole process here. What we're doing today, honing the inside of this motor. So hang on. Let me go ahead and get my stand brought over here. Fire up my pipe again, and let's get started. Okay. So flipped up the right way. So basically, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to knock this glazing off these walls. So what you want to do first is obviously you want to try to inspect them. You want to try to get an idea, like number 3 obviously has the possible worst case scenario. I can't deglaze it. I can't fix it. It's a good possibility these walls can be fixed, because honestly, I don't see a lot of deep scratches, deep grooves. There's really no ridge. Actually, I feel no ridge at all. I think this motor actually got rebuilt at some point in its life from this guy, whether it was from him or was somebody before him. I think somebody actually did rebuild it, because some of the markings that I've seen, the white marker on the front of the crank, the size of the journals, it seems like it's been turned, and these cylinders actually do seem like it's a possibility this engine didn't have a lot of miles on it. He just put a lot of wear on it, more than miles. So obviously I can pop these out and replace them. No big deal. So what's it going to hurt by going ahead and trying to run a hone in there and seeing what we can do with it, right? Doesn't really hurt anything. So obviously, but before you start the honing process, you want to make sure, since this one, I decided I'm not pulling the crank because the bearings were just fine. I only got to go ahead and polish that one in number 3 and get off the transfer that was actually on that journal. Other than that, the bearings actually look fine. Everything else looked okay. I'm kicking around the idea, if I'm going to possibly pull these sleeves out to replace the O-rings in there, I'll find out once I get and I pull the side cover off over here and see what it looks like all around inside there, as far as the sludge and everything all built up in there. If I can't get it cleaned out, I'll probably go ahead and just pop them out. So anyway, so I'm just, unfortunately right now in the economy, as you know, we're all getting screwed here on everything we buy. So if I have to replace it, I'm going to replace it. If I don't have to, we're going to go ahead and try to refurbish. So anyway, so the whole thing today is you want to make sure you get yourself the right hone. That's the biggest thing. You can run one of these, but obviously as you see it, compared to the size of my hand, you don't want that for your cylinder, because this is considered like a brake hone. See, it'll fit. You know, it's close. But see how small those stones are? As soon as those stones get anywhere near the top, they're going to pop right out and cause you some issues. Don't get the wrong size hone, all right? This right here is a cylinder hone. See the size difference on those stones? Big, 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 big difference. Now, I personally, if I do the cylinders, sorry, I'm making you guys sick here, especially for the first part of trying to get them deglazed and try to get those 45-degree cross hatches, I personally like using a straight wall hone. Reason being is, straight wall compared to a dingleberry hone is, the straight is exactly what it is. The arms are straight. They're going to follow those walls straight all the way up and down. If you have any kind of swelling, if it's irregular, bad spots, whatever, this will show them up as you're trying to deglaze to show if you can use these or not. If you use a dingleberry hone, it does a nice job, but it'll actually conform. It'll, you know, open up as it's going up and down, and it'll actually change with the cylinder. So you're never going to know. It's going to make a beautiful job, but you're never going to know if there's something wrong with that cylinder. Personally, you can usually get beginning to end good finish with your hone. Use, you know, your some people use WD-40. I think it's better to use a lighter weight motor oil. But you want to make sure you oil the cylinders, and I'm going to show you how I compress these. You get them in, you get them started. Then you start running them up and down, and like I said, you never want to have them spring and pop out. You have a spring tension here. So you can take more material off those cylinders if you want to. Very simple. Personally, like I said, I like to try to go ahead and do the cylinders with this one first, and sometimes I can get a good finish beginning to end. If I get it looking pretty good, but I'm not really crazy about the crosshatch, you can follow up with a dingleberry hone as a finishing hone afterwards, if you really want to get that precise. Obviously, after the motor starts running a little bit, all those crosshatches and everything you're putting in there, they're going to go away. They're going to deglaze after those new ring seats, because the purpose of putting those crosshatches in there is to go ahead and make the new ring seat, and those hatches hold the oil on them, and that'll actually seat your new rings. But if you want to go ahead and, like I said, get a good finishing hone on it, you can use the dingleberry after. I don't suggest using the dingleberry for the main hone. It's never going to show if there's an imperfection of those cylinder walls. So, I mean, there's a lot of videos, a lot of people with use this one, don't use that one. Use this one, don't use that one. Everybody has their preferences. But if you think of the actual logics of this one being straight with no flex versus the dingleberry hone, each ball is going to be different. It'll go inside the coves. Just kind of think about that for a second. So, not that my video is better than anybody else's out there as far as honing, but straight wall, get your first finish, see if there's imperfections, see what you need. Even if you have a cracked cylinder, this will actually show it. Versus dingleberry might actually go into those grooves. It might push some stuff in it. You may never see it. I mean, it's a possibility. But at least this one here, you're going to know what that cylinder looks like. Now, if you really, really want to get technical, you can go ahead and run your, dowel bore in there and check out your cylinders and see if you're out of round and, check all your specs on it. You can check everything. Obviously, you can definitely do that. Me personally, I'm going to put a ring in there, check it from the top, check it from the middle, check it from the bottom. I'm going to check the ring gap. That's how I'm going to check these cylinders afterwards. Because worst case, I can always order sleeves afterwards. No big deal. If you really want to go like super, super precision, as far as getting things bored out or whatever you want to do, if you're using it for a pulling tractor where every single horsepower matters, if you're doing it for, a race engine, yes, you want to go as technical as you can to get those cylinders perfect. The tractor engine, obviously, they're only making, this one here is what, 38 horsepower? I mean, that's all you're going to get really out of it. If you're making 37, you're not really going to notice a difference. It's one of those things. Don't half-ass it, but you don't have to go high-end, high dollar on everything. Sometimes you can do backyard stuff and do it correctly. So anyway, so that's my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and get set up. Usually I like to go ahead and pull all these head studs out. I'm going to try to do this right now on this video without doing that because I don't really feel like pulling those out right now. I'm going to pull them. It's just not going to be today. But also before I go ahead and get working, I'm going to stuff the cylinders with some rags down the bottom so that way any of the shavings and all from the oil dripping and all will go down. I'll catch it before it goes down to the journals. And then I'm probably going to go ahead and put a bag and just drape it over top of each one of those journals just to catch anything excess. I could tilt this motor on its side and do it. Obviously, I could drive the sleeves out of the engine, put them on the bench, and I could do them that way too. I just want to try to do it while it's being held in the engine and do this as straight as possible to see exactly what those walls look like. Now, obviously, if you had a really, really deep ridge, then it's going to be another issue. Your hone can actually fix that to a point. Hopefully it didn't get too bad, and you'll need a ridge reamer. These pistons actually popped right out. It didn't catch up on any ridge, and I can't feel anything with my finger, so I'm not really sweating the ridge. So anyway, so let's go ahead and get set up, get started, and show the process real quick on how I'm going to do these. And then I got to get the measurements and start getting the parts ordered up for this thing. So let me get set up in the stand. Okay, hopefully I set up good enough for you guys. Again, sorry, don't have a GoPro. I really can't get you in there anymore. If I do, it's going to hit the camera. All right, so another thing I forgot to mention I do like to do is when these are brand new, out of the box, a lot of times in here, they don't really move super free. I like to take a little bit of the PB and I'll actually shoot it in there. And then when this opens up here, like that, I'll shoot inside there as well. Just to make sure that this thing has really good spring action. I'm not going to adjust the tension as of yet, but I'm also going to go ahead, as soon as I wipe out the cylinders, make sure they're clean, I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the stones, and then we're going to go ahead and set this thing in. And then I'll just drop the PB blaster in the cylinder. Ay. Not enough places to work. All right, let me set this over here. All right, so as I was saying, I'm going to wipe the cylinder out when I find out, there we go, where my other rag went. I have the crank covered up so that way it won't drop any shavings down there. We're going to start with number 4, and I'm going to see how this looks inside here, just to kind of gauge an idea on if we're replacing the sleeves or if we're not. And then we're going to jump to number 3, see how that comes out, and kind of just do a little comparison. So the reason you want to make sure that you at least try to wipe these cylinder walls out is because if they do have any grit, any metal, anything inside there, you don't want to use those stones to further drive them into the walls. So you want to try to clean them out the best you can. I'm going to go ahead and get my drill speed set, because obviously that's a big part too, how fast your drill goes. So that's a little fast, so I'm going to adjust my drill speed down. I'm using my old Makita. Every so often I'll break this one out. Drill speed kind of worth a crap on this thing. Anyway, so right now what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and shoot some oil on my stones. I'm going to do this to every one, kind of get them started. I'm not really sweating how much of a mess I make with these. All right, I'm going to shoot the cylinder walls with some oil. Go right over here. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure you compress these like this, and don't slide them into the cylinders, compress them into the cylinders like that. We're going to go with a pattern. I don't want to slide this around too much like this, so we're going to go up and down, almost to the bottom, almost to the top. And we never want to go past these little rivets right here, because if you do, it'll shoot this thing out. So let me get myself set in position here so I can see how far down to go. I don't want to hit that bag. And let's go ahead and get started. So I went a tad too far at the bottom. You heard the touch. That's because I'm trying to watch the camera, make sure I don't knock it over. And I screwed up right there. See, I pulled it up too high, too far. Lucky I did it fast enough. I didn't really see anything I did, but don't do that. That's exactly what I said. This is the first time doing this on camera. Usually I don't do this on camera. So the mistakes I'm telling you not to do, I'm doing, so make sure you don't do it. Anyway, so that's one pass actually. And you can see so far, I mean, except for right there where I jumped that stone up, it's actually doing a nice job. I see no imperfections. I see no scratches, except for the cross hatches I'm putting in there. I see no irregularities, and as I said, there was no ridge, but that area is cleaning up too. So this one actually looks almost pretty good so far. See, I don't have to do a finishing pass with another hone. So usually I like to spray this with brake cleaner, which I'm getting ready to do in a second. I just want to take a quick look. Yeah, that actually that wall looks pretty good. Now the reason I want to shoot this with some brake cleaner is any of the metal or sanding stuff that I just did, I want to get it down and out. And then we're going to re-oil, and we're going to start all over again. First thing first. Okay. Now, it works better when you use a good drill. My good drills are inside. I don't feel like going back and getting them. So this old Makita right here is a dinosaur. The variable speed works to a point, but not really too much. That's why it was starting to stopping. So the drill's kind of screwing me up. Anyway, I know, blaming on the drill. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and re-oil this thing again. And we're going to go for one more pass. And I don't think personally I have to worry about running a dingleberry hone in this afterwards. I think this is actually just fine. And yes, it works much better when you get the damn studs out, because working around these studs kind of sucks too. All right, let's try this again. And we're going to stop right there, compress these, take them out. And from what I am seeing so far, that looks beautiful. Yeah, there's absolutely not a single reason why these sleeves can't be reused. Yeah, like I said, I personally feel that this motor may have been rebuilt. I don't think the guy rebuilt it, but I think it got rebuilt at one time. That looks pretty good, guys. But the one I'm actually curious about is number 3. I already know that the other cylinders actually don't look bad, so I think they're going to clean up just fine like this one did. Now that right there, you say, that was from me. That was from the drill starting and stopping. That's actually not bad. Maybe I'll go over it one more time. Maybe I will go ahead and get the dingleberry hone and go through this for one finishing pass. I don't know. It's all personal opinion, honestly. I'm going to go ahead and check these stones to see if there's anything stuck in any of these. Make sure these are all wiped out and good. I don't see or feel anything. So what I'm going to do is we're going to oil this one last time. Run that oil around where I'm starting. Now my hand is super slippery to hold the drill. This is always so much fun right here. And let's do this again. See, unfortunately, I gotta start it like that and then get it the rest of the way in. All right, let's do this again. It's the last one. Oh, Chuck is slowing up. That's awesome. There we go. And I did it again. Oh my Lord. Yes, don't do that. Sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment doing this, it's hard not to accidentally pull the damn thing up too fast. And I did it again. All right. It happens. We all ain't perfect, right? Well, that what I thought was a hair bit ridge, it's gone. There's nothing in there. Now, obviously, I'm not really sweating that little spots right there. Not sure exactly what it is, because honestly, I really almost can't feel it. I don't know if that's... Might even be able to wipe out the little piece of emery, but anyway, the piston anyway stops right before that, because that's why you get a ridge anyway. So obviously when the explosion happens, that's where it hits that ridge. Bolt down. I don't feel anything on the fingernail at all. I know I got a glove on. I'll recheck it again a little better, but I don't feel anything on there. So I'd say this one is good. I'm going to go ahead and get this camera set back up. I'm going to try number 3. Let's see how this one comes out after I clean my fingers off. Okay, let's go for number 3 here. See how this one comes out. I did switch drills because the other drill was driving me up a wall. So we're going to go ahead and go back to my 1/2-inch drill. And the 1/2-inch drill kind of gives me a fit. Then I'm going to go and get my other drill. The only thing is a pain sometimes of having things in multiple shops. And I think I'm starting to run out of oil. But this one, the chuck is actually staying tight, so that's what I wanted, because the other one, the chuck kept coming loose and was slowing down my spin. Actually, I know, let me pull this back up. I gotta push this rag down a hair more. And on top of that, these gloves are coming off because these freaking cheap gloves from Home Depot tear on the smallest little thing you do. I know, I say it every time. Why do I wear gloves? There's kind of no point in it. All right, let me get this rag down a little bit. Okay, just don't want to grab it and pull it up. Okay, and let's do it. See what I did? Too far again. Alright, see how this one cleaned up. It's one of those things, if you don't do this every single day, and you got to get back into the groove, literally, of honing cylinders. It's like you got to get your muscle memory back as far as how far up and how far down you go, and your speed. You want to try not to let that thing stop in any one spot, because you don't want to go dishing it out. Yeah, it's a lot when it comes to honing. You really got to be careful. So obviously here, I can still see. Now what I might do, I haven't adjusted the pressure yet on this. This is the cylinder I'm worried about. This one here, I can't feel any of this stuff. I mean, I can't feel a single thing with my fingernail. Then no gloves. Actual fingernail. I don't feel any of this. I can't feel it on the flat of my finger. I can feel that hair right there. It's the fun of having dogs. But I don't feel anything on the finger. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the pressure a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and make this thing a tad bit tighter. I'm going to go ahead and shoot some oil in here again. And we're going to run it again with just a little bit more pressure. Seems like it always has to happen at least once, doesn't it? Okay. Some people run this for like a minute in the cylinders. Some people run it short periods of time. I'm only going shorts, about 30 seconds, because I want to see the progression first before I keep going. And yeah, a little bit of pressure actually seems like it's knocking that out. But again, it's more like it's discoloration. I don't feel anything. Let me get my little flashlight. Now, obviously, flashlight seems like it shows everything to a point where it's like, oh my God. But trying to look down into the reflection, and I don't see anything. Now, another trick I'm probably going to do is, once I get the piston rings, and I'll put the rings in, I can shine the light up from the bottom, and you can actually look around the edges of the rings and see if you see any light through the rings at any point. A lot of times too, that'll show you if your cylinder is wobbly or if it has some bad divots in it, stuff like that. So far for the one that I was worried about, I don't really see anything. This just feels like it's, well, it doesn't feel, just that discoloration. It's like it turned the metal, but it didn't hit it. I don't think there's going to be any sealing issues with that whatsoever, honestly. But I got to hit pause because I got to put more oil in my canister. Okay, filled back up. Oh yeah, there we go. Get some oil in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the pressure a tad bit more. And we're going to go again. First I'm going to check the stones. Make sure there's nothing in them. You got to be so careful with these things. When they shoot up, you don't want to break the stones and cause rough edges. You don't want to hit the trigger either while you're holding on to it. That sucks too. All right, let's do it. I'm going to adjust this a hair bit more. All right, I think that's good. So I just want to go a little bit at a time. Every time, man, do that. I'm going to stop there anyway, see what it looks like. You know, you guys out there who can do that seamlessly without ever popping that thing up too high or going down too far, hats off to you. Because that sometimes is a pain in the ass to not do it. That actually is pretty much taking, as you can see, that head bolt again. Jeez. As you can see, it's taking it out more, and it's pretty much taking it out that spot there. Yeah, I don't feel anything. So I think we're going to be good on this. I might go ahead and, once I get this thing all done, I will probably go ahead and run the dingleberry hone through it just to give it like a finishing hone. But as far as like the walls being any imperfections or something to the point where, like I said, I have to replace these sleeves, I'm not seeing that. I don't see anything that warrants it for having to do that. So we are just going to go ahead and make sure these walls are straight, run the other hone through it, clean it up to give it a nice finish, just because of the fact of that's how I roll, and I can't stand to leave something with a slight look to it, even though it's not going to affect anything. And that's pretty much it. So I'm not going to do the whole video of doing all these cylinders. I don't see the point. You kind of see the process here. And then what I'll do is, unfortunately, the dingleberry hone, I have to get it because the one I had was for a smaller cylinder. So I'm going to order the dingleberry hone, and then the next part of this video is we're going to go through this one more time. Then we're going to flip the motor, and then we're going to go ahead and polish that journal and get that transfer off of there. So that will be it for this video. Let me see if I can break this loose and take us around. Obviously, there's some dirt and stuff in there I got to clean out. So right there is all the oil and everything I just sprayed in there. But as you see, it's got the crosshatch. Now you also want to be careful going up and down too fast, because too fast can affect it, too slow can affect it. There's lots of things can affect as far as how to get those crosshatches in there. But I think these sleeves can be saved and reused. So it looks like it's just going to be rings, bearings, and seals and everything in here. And I think this thing will be just fine. And as far as the pistons, I think the pistons are fine too. There is not a single thing wrong with the pistons. I can clean these up, reuse the original IH pistons. The only other thing I'm going to have to end up checking is I didn't do it yet. I'm going to check the wrist pins on each one. I'm going to grab a hold the piston down to the table, and give it a pull up and down, see if it's got any play up and down. If it does, then obviously wrist pins or the bushings inside there are going to have to be replaced. Again, I think the motor was rebuilt. I don't think it's going to need it, but I'm going to thoroughly go through everything. And then once we get the lower end done, and then we're going to tackle the head. We're going to take these valves out, the guides out, clean everything up, replace everything, check the head for straightness, running a straight edge across it. And that's going to determine if I need to take this thing to the machine shop and have it, planed or not. So I'm going to obviously check that out since the motor was run low on oil. I'm not sure how much heat he created when he did that, when he caught it, and I want to check it. So I will check that with a straight edge, and then we'll go from there. So anyway, so other than that, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell. And don't forget, if you guys notice, every single video now, I do have that special thanks for those donations. Every dollar helps, and I so much appreciate all you guys and all my subscribers and everybody for helping out with that. And I'm going to continue with every $10 donation. I'm going to send you flasks. I already got a bunch of them sent out as of this morning. And all you guys got to do is shoot me an email and let me know if you want a black one or a stainless one, and then I'll get it out to you. Obviously a shipping address, but don't put your shipping address or don't put your information on the comments here. Send me the email. But other than that, like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, thanks for watching.